Welcome back to Behavioral Finance and FinTech. I'm Andy Kim. Here in this video, I'm going to talk about the various alternative data, very interesting usage, and then perhaps we'll move down to RegTech and then try to conclude. Let's see. Satellite image processing is widely used these days, right? In CEO level, we saw the facial expressions and voice pitch and then facial masculinity. All kinds of features are, alternative data per se, right? And other than human beings, right, satellite is the one, right? Where do we use it? Well, you already know it, right? The Walmart sales projection, if you are the equity analyst and fund managers, if you you want to know beforehand about what's going to happen to Walmart and Costco and retail businesses in the US, you will care about this kind of pictures, right? The idea is the more people come and buy, there will be many more cars in the parking lot, open spaces. Korean people will have a hard time understanding it because we usually buy the stuff online only, right? Completely changed. ICT, right? Europeans as well, I guess. But in the United States, right? Not as much dependent on ICT yet. Internet buying, online shopping. Not as much, and they like to go out, and they don't want to, mask and all these kind of things. They want to go to do outside activities and then riding and have fun over there. So it's much more informative over there. The internet penetration rate is lower, right? In essence, that's why we can still use it, right? As long as you are doing some U.S. stock investment, you will care about this data. How many cars over there, empty spots like that, and then. This usage of satellite image processing is an unintended consequence of the past effort in Star Wars in the Cold War era, okay, US versus Soviet Union kind of, right? Now, what do you see over here? For Korean people, it's that we've seen it many times. But for American people, this is what the Harvard professor Mulanathan was presenting to the American crowd over there, American scholars. They were like, what part of the world is this? Aha. And he said like, this is Korean Peninsula, South Korea and North Korea and China over there. And they were like, isn't that an island over here? 섬 아니야? It's like, and then a sea of ocean separating between, no, it's not, right? Why is this? It's at nighttime and the lightings of the cities and the roads like that, right? The North Korea completely black, except for this Pyongyang, right? So he said like, even if North Korean Central TV anchor woman says, North Korea achieved 500% of GDP growth, you can ask, oh, are your all economic activities only taking place only in daytime? Not in night times, right? So all those economic activities, especially in the night times, you can see it using satellite images. Daytime images, you can also utilize it, but nighttime is quite obvious, right? That was one of the interesting awakening moments for the American scholars. Oh, he's like, yeah, this is the alternative data coming from the satellite. It's good. And the thing is, the satellite images was very expensive 30 years ago or something, because that was military, Cold War era. Not many satellites were there, and then that's why it's more like a seller's market. In contrast, these days there are about 5774 satellites in the sky, according to UNOOSA. I don't know, UNOOSA in March, UN organization about outer space management, right? And then picture price accordingly, right? Came down because of the oversupply of the satellites. The price per picture is like $710 outside Korea and goes up to infinity maybe, depending on your demand. Korean pictures, right? Korean satellites, they sell for 33만 원 to 110만 원 kind of things. So it's a lot cheaper, right? I don't know why they don't compete over here, but to the extent this is cheaper, fine. You see the satellites over here scattered around, and then Song Joong-ki's movie, the starring actor in 승리호 thing, Netflix over there, early this year. And Song Joong-ki, by the way, is a SKKU graduate, by the way, our proud alumni, right? And then the movie was about, scrapping those satellites. 우주 쓰레기 is like a space trash collector job. That's, something coming up to us, right? In the future. Anyway, so satellite image processing. Where do we use it as well? Well, for oil traders, right? Trading, buying and selling crude oils, right? It's going to be better for you to know how much the other guys on the trading, right, have in their reserves. So, 지피지기면 백전불패, right? Like as far as, knowing yourself and knowing the enemies, right? Then you will not lose money. That's the rule. Here, satellite image processing, how is it helpful? For China, right, has been growing huge. And then they have been a big player in oil trading business as well. Those economic development. And then the huge scale. It's a huge continent, right? Like 20 times bigger than Korea. Oil consumption, huge. And if we know their oil reserves amount, then we will be much more advantageous, right, in taking our positions. But the thing is, China is so much secretive, information-wise. How much oil do we have? Secret. For example, how many COVID-19 cases do you have? Secret, almost, right? Fine. Is there any way we can just infer somehow? There comes satellite. Because the oil tankers, you see cylindrical shape over here. So it's a cylinder. And then the thing is, oil tanks, you cannot have a fixed roof capping up because of the expansion and then explosion, boom, with the heat, right? If it gets too much heat, right? So the oil tank, right? Usually the roof is floating on top of that oils, so that within that cylinder you can see some the shadows forming. Okay, you see the shadow over here as I lower down and upper, right? So you can back solve for those quantity they have for each oil reserve like this. Not the reserve, but the tank, right? The good thing about the satellite is, one, some fixed place satellite can keep on watching it every day, regularly. And if it is moving in an orbit, it regularly orbits around the Earth so that at the same time, they can take a picture and then compare, right? In a fair scientific manner. That's the idea over here. And then this kind of satellite imagery is widely used in other places as well. It's just a function, it depends on your imagination. Military usage is there as well, real estate demand forecasting as well, and the crop produce expectation, all these kind of things. You can utilize this one, okay? For example, in agriculture, time varying colors and lights of tree leaves in B1 area. 성균관대학교, in my office, I overlook B1 over there, which is a secret garden of the king. All right. It's very, very beautiful. Those colors of the trees and the forest over there, the king used to enjoy. Now I enjoy it. Great. But the thing is, interesting thing is the color of the leaves, the degree of reflecting, and then the transparency changes over time with the sunlight, right? With respect to sunlight, reflection, all these kind of things changes. So I can measure, if I try to quantify how much, it is, getting dried in the fall, autumns and things like that. And the tree grows and crop grows and bears fruit and things like that. They emit different chemicals. And those chemicals can be measurable using some careful, sophisticated lens, the satellite lens, right? Scientific lens. So those things can be measured so that they can use it for agricultural monitoring purpose. So agricultural produces like rice, wheat, corn, coffee are traded in the commodities market with derivatives. It's a lot fluctuating, just like semiconductor, the DRAM chip, right? Samsung Electronics. We are living in another agriculture country, right? Anyway, in AI. Anyway, so getting back to this agricultural idea, if you could get the info about the agricultural info real time, you would have advantage in commodities trading and derivatives trading. With global climate change, the weather patterns get more random and predicting commodities price gets more difficult, right? More volatile. So satellite image processing could help your business for hedge funds and then asset managers. Now, satellite image processing in insurance also, is something noticeable. Wildfires in California or Australia or Malaysia, Indonesia, huge, massive scale. Amazon wildfires, oh my God, burning all those woods, and then the forest deforestation is a huge issue. Sometimes you want to get insured, and then for insurance companies estimating the damage of this burning, right, fire is an important thing. So satellite imagery, right, will help your business, and then it will enable them to update the insurance fee accordingly later on. You see California, I think this is California, wildfire, oh my God, yeah. So that's going on. Satellite image processing, useful in other aspects like ESG, right? Environment, social, and governance, right? Not governance over here, but environmental purpose, right? So environmental, how does it help? Well, think about Amazon, Brazil. Deforestation in Amazon is a serious issue because about 20% of oxygen of Earth, they say it comes from Amazon forest, right? But they are burning it. Why? The thing is, Brazilian economics, right? They want to develop. Think about President Bolsonaro, like a president equivalent of Trump, right? But he gets a lot of popularity vote. Why? Because he wants to develop the economy of Brazil, no matter what, at the expense of Amazon. Is there any way you can just keep the Amazon forest? But the thing is, Amazon, they have a lot of indigenous people, or the people living in their residents or existing residents. They could farm their ways, right? Or hunt their ways and make their living, maybe. But they are poor, absolutely. So they want to get hired and get money, get paid regularly. Where are our employers? And there comes the developers over here. More than 25,000 developers are working in Amazon area. And then they are burning the forest to develop mines and palm olive plantation. That's for soap and all this kind of consumer goods. And then ranches like 소치고 닭치고, like 돼지치고, it's like cows and pigs and all these kind of things, right? Mines, the minerals they want to extract is iron ore. Just scoop the mud, it's iron. Okay? You don't need to dig deeper. It's just 노천탕광. I don't know how to say it in English, but just scrape it and it's just iron ore. Right? That's the thing. And then gold, nickel, and manganese, and bauxite for aluminum, all these kind of things. So they try to develop it. For employment purposes, it suits their purpose for President Bolsonaro. But for the rest of the world, this is a disaster. Deforestation, oh my God. EU and international communities criticized that, and Brazilian Supreme Court forbade these activities to protect Amazon forest. But they don't listen to, Donald Trump of, Brazil, how he works. So there comes ESG activity of bankers. Is one possibility that you can think about. If the bankers could monitor the agricultural activities in Amazon, wouldn't they be able to stop deforestation in Amazon, right? Is an idea. Okay, the residents in Amazon are so desolate and have almost no track record of finance, like credit card repayment history or phone bill repaying kind of things. They don't have record like that. So bankers cannot easily loan them to do their usual agricultural business. That's majorly why they have to go to these developers and then adding to the deforestation. So instead of letting them do it, going to deforestation, putting them back to their original farming business and then lend them some money. Okay, why don't we do that? And then the bankers, just need a covenant with these borrowers and say, you keep the forest, right? And do your own original business, keeping the forest and in your own way. Okay. then we will lend you money. Then is there any way you could monitor their progress in their day-to-day business? Well, let's use satellite imagery process, right? Image processing business. That's the idea. Okay, it could be a good way of monitoring it. That's this. And then already Dutch asset managers like Robeco and Actium and NNPI and NIP are very active in this kind of investments using satellite image processing. And in their investment, they use this image data to make sure that the investees do not destroy tropical rainforest and things like that. And then hope for FinTech is that they could finance their people like this, desolate places, farmers and fishers. And then the issue about banking is like how to monitor these borrowers, their activities, how much are they really productive and effective in their own day-to-day business? Is there any way to monitor them, right? If not, they cannot lend the money. But if they can monitor it, then they can safely lend money, and then so that they would invest as their promised way. So in that way, those satellite imagery could be helping for both, the farmers and then the environment, and then the FinTech could be, some catalyst of developing, or not the developing, but protecting the environment and helping those economic development of these people in desolate places. 2 billion more people will be born by 2050. In contrast, climate change would destroy much of the farmland, so it is very crucial to help financing small farms in the remote areas. And it is estimated that about $180 billion is needed to finance small farmers around the world for their working capital in farming, seeds, inventory, and all this kind of fertilizers and all this kind of. They have to purchase those things with borrowed money, but they don't have banks that can lend. And then 31% of them have no track record of financing. So those FinTech can help these guys, right? So is there some good examples? Like, Rabobank of the UK and Wageningen University of Netherlands, right? Have been developing this kind of things, climate smart digital farm finance, right? As a good example, I guess, for ESG FinTech related stuff using this satellite image processing. And then they cooperated to develop a lending system using satellite monitoring for the wheat and barley farmers in Ethiopia in 2017. And then I hope a lot of Korean banks try to do this kind of cooperation with the universities like Sungkyunkwan, right? I'm here, just they don't do it. Maybe I should go and talk to them. Anyway, so as crops grow, they absorb a certain red parts of the spectrum in the sunlight, and they reflect near infrared 근적외선 rays. I don't know that, but the rays, they reflect differently so that the satellite can monitor the crop growth and things like that. So that's the idea. And not only that, right? Uganda and Myanmar, Uganda, I don't know how to pronounce that, but they have this kind of satellite imagery usage for microfinancing purpose in FinTech, right? World Bank Group will have been very active to fight against poverty through microfinancing services, and then CGAP, a consultative group to assist the poor in World Bank was very active on this, and they implemented microfinancing services by cooperating with Harvesting, a FinTech company using satellite image processing, and Pride Microfinance, a Ugandan microfinance company. So if you're interested, go ahead and read these things, right? That's 조선일보, yeah. But you can Google search this kind of things later. Anyway, that's that. InsurTech and satellite imagery is very important as well. Global warming and rising sea level has been a tremendous issue. Tsunami and flood, right? And then residential places and farmlands are concentrated in the flat plains near the sea and riverbanks. So those tsunamis and rising sea levels would be detrimental for our food and then our lives, right? And then already this year, Germany suffered from the biggest flood over the past 1,000 years in 2021, right? You see this picture. so disastrous. And then it's a burden for insurance companies, right? So that satellite images and various image processing techniques can help to assess the damage very quickly and then stack up their reserves for losses, right? That's something the alternative data could help. And then another example is MUIIS, market-led user-owned ICT for ag-enabled information services. That are a long name of it. MUIIS project is an insurance and financing service to support the farmers in Uganda, East Africa, using satellite image processing. This idea is almost the same, right? Monitoring the agricultural businesses using satellite images, and then help use it for the financing businesses. So Dutch Foreign Ministry and Dutch Space Office are big players in the name of G48W, which is geodata for agriculture and water. Okay, and similar project called Zoom Africa is there in Mali, right? So you can go ahead and Google search those projects, right? Delta-Res is a free online service that enables you to check the change in sea levels around the world using Google Earth and comparing with the satellite pictures of 30 years ago. And so that it enables you to assess the flood damages. And then Delta-Res, yeah, you see this kind of activities, right? In G48W, right? And then all these other activities, Delta-Res, satellite imageries, very useful to assess and then help these insurance companies. Satellite, right? Flying satellite, launching those satellite is a big issue in South Korea as well, especially this year in last month, right? October 21st, right? Nuri rocket we successfully launched, right? Depending on the definition of success, by the way, we did not succeed in launching the orbit, the satellite to the orbit, but our definition of success is this. Kicking his ass, right? This guy's ass, right? This guy has been doing this for a long time. We want to kick his ass too, right? That's our definition of success. But wait a minute, right? Let's get more sensible, right? Let's get more environmentally helpful for other countries globally. We are global business majors anyway, right? So isn't it a time to consider something more constructive and non-military and global in protecting environment? Like what Europeans are doing, right? Dutch people are doing, right? Sea level rising, yeah, I know it's detrimental to Netherlands the most, so that's why you guys are more active over here. But we also have similar stake. Like Seoul is very altitude wise very low as well, and then so we have also some reasons to cooperate together. So that's what I want to argue in this class. Anyway. At the same time, satellite imagery, right? Very helpful for ESG, but at the same time, we have to be careful that one satellite picture does not resolve everything, because there is a threat of deep fake everywhere, especially again for satellite imageries. Hackers infiltrate in the processing and then try to manipulate the images into something completely wrong or fake. For example, if it is for military target, like field artillery, you shoot for the opponent country's military base, right? But the opponent country can infiltrate into your server and then manipulate the picture so that it will look like, oh, that's not a military base, but it's a civilian school or civilian facilities. So let's shoot other places over there. There is a military place. And as it turns out, that's a fake, right? They switch so that you may end up firing into the civilian areas, killing so many people. Oh my God, that's a disaster. So we have to be careful about this kind of deep fake, even in the satellite image over there. It's endless hide and seek with the users and hackers via tech advancements. So we have to be aware of that. Always beware. always beware as a consumer of these technologies. That's the thing. Apart from the satellite images, other data could be like real-time airplane movement data like this. Where do we use it? Well, to get some assessment about the performance of airlines and the travel industry, stock prices and things like that. Various other usages you can think about it. So that's that. In the next video, I'm going to talk about the RegTech and then briefly, and then I'll wrap up for the semester. So wait for that. Thanks for watching in this video.